Welcome to another episode of Masterminds with James Allen. He is I and I am him. And today, man, we've got the man from Houston. You know what I'm saying? His name rings bells out here in the streets. Don't play with him. No, but I'm excited. I'm not only like inspired by this guy and his story and his journey, but to be honest with you, I am a customer and I have been a customer for a while.
So
You know what I'm
appreciate that.
saying? Yeah. Keep my skin looking fresh,
I
beer
see.
moisturized. He's been helping all you guys out here not look so dusty out here for a while. He's out here contributing rather to, everybody's flyness. So let me just go ahead and get this proper introduction before we get into it. So this gentleman here goes back to, we'll start with undergrad, graduate of Georgetown University, where he played ball,
That's excellent.
defensive back. You know what I'm saying? Uh, he probably still can get with me on the field. Now I'm joking like this.
Gee. Look,
He's
is
like,
there a
don't do
cursing
that.
policy on this podcast?
Nah, hey, go at it.
Let
Do
him fly.
you? Yes, sir. Absolutely. He then, after graduating and playing ball at Georgetown University, salute to that. He then went on to attend the University of Texas, where he earned his law degree. After attaining that law degree, he then went into corporate law, where he worked for an international firm here in Houston, but where he did a lot of working with capital markets, PE, M&A,
Yep.
a lot of things of that nature. But then in 2017, he got it cracking, and he is the founder of Holly Hall, pardon me, Supply Co. Yeah, got to represent. And like I said, man, this is it's exciting because, like I said, I've been on it for a while. I was introduced to him from a mutual friend. Shout out Meg. She's super,
Hey,
yeah. She was super excited to get this connect. So shout out to her for that.
I've
But
known her since I was like 5 or like 6.
come
We
on.
go back.
So without further delay, I'd like to introduce the Justin Moore to the podcast. What up, family?
Hey, good to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Hey man, I'm so excited. Yeah, because again, just you know, when Meg first told me about you and your company, she's like, "Man, you got to try this out." I literally tried it out, made an order. Literally, I think within a day or so, package came, and I've literally been ordering ever since. Like no lie, no
Yo,
hype.
quick shout out to my mom. She's her second career after retirement is becoming Holly Hall's fulfillment director. When I tell you she does not play about getting those orders out, like I couldn't pay somebody to be more on top of it than she is.
Ooh,
So shout out to moms one time for holding me down.
mom, shout out because that package came like early with no delay. I was like, oh man. So the service and the quality of the products is top notch. So shout out there, man. But you know, I mean, before we get into it, man, what's going on, man? How are you, bro?
Man, I am great. It's like I'm in one of those like busy like crazy busy sometimes, and then like I'll find myself some days of like I don't feel like I have shit to do. Like I need to find something. Like I need to be productive. Like there got to be something I should be doing.
Right.
But it's a really interesting time. Like you said, we started in 2017, and I mean I just kind of sit back and laugh now at all of like what my expectations were as far as like what success was and like how long it would take to start kind of sniffing that. And 5 years, almost 5 years later, November makes 5 years.
Dope.
um we're finally starting to see some of that explosive growth that we've been chasing for a while.
Dope. Nah, man, that's great to hear. And when you talk about your expectations going into that, like what was it? As opposed
Oh
to
well, I told you I'm gonna start
as a
laughing.
reality.
I mean, it's comical to me now,
Yeah,
but I was dead ass serious about it then. It was
yeah.
like, the way I saw it from then. So I launched on Kickstarter, and through my network and some modest marketing, we're able to raise about 27,000 on Kickstarter in 30
Okay.
days,
Okay.
and that was kind of what, and I'm certainly not blaming Kickstarter for this. This is 100% on me. Of
Yeah.
that, I took that as to like what the outlook of the business was going to look like. It's like, oh
Mm,
well, if I did 27K on Kickstarter in 30 days, then imagine what I'll do over, kind of month to month once we really get started.
Mm-hmm.
Not appreciating at the time that, like, while Kickstarter is a great platform, it's really more about, people who want to support you and people who believe in you, not
Absolutely.
as much that's going to be your customer base going
Mm-hmm.
forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that was probably the start of the unhealthy expectations as to, what revenue was going to look like on day one.
Yeah.
And I was removed of that expectation very quickly. I'll just say that. um, but it's it was just of like, hey, if we get, double digit growth month to month every month, by the time we get to year 5, we're gonna be making some real money. And it's
Out of
like
here.
it,
Yeah.
it just doesn't. Well, I won't say it won't work like that for everybody, but it didn't work like that for me.
Right. Right. Nah. Yeah. It's always that battle with your expectations versus reality when
Sure.
you're starting out. And well, before we get into that, because I've made that leap from corporate America to full time 3 years ago. 3 years
Okay.
actually in June.
Hey,
And
congratulations.
yeah, appreciate it, bro. And man, I thought, like you said, I was like, oh man, if I could just if I'm doing something that's part time, if I just throw all of my effort into it exponentially, it's going to go to, that. And it just wasn't the case. And I literally had my ass handed to me for like, 2.5 years.
I
And
feel like that's a part of the process. Like I feel like if you never had your ass handed to you, I don't really respect you as an entrepreneur.
talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. But yo, so Justin, you came from like a very successful professional successful background, and like saying like you have to be this or that to be successful. But I
Sure.
mean, to be a lawyer, you do have to uh you know go through some obstacles. And heard that law school alone is like a gauntlet. So
It's like
and
a
so
Bentley. A Bentley is
yeah.
an easier way to quantify
so
it.
so I mean, I just want to know, bro, when you were like, yo, I'm about to get this Holly Hall popping, what was like the sentiments of your family and your friends when you said that?
Oh, that's
He
funny.
starts laughing.
Because I'm remembering some of those conversations.
Yeah.
Friends 100% supportive. Like actually everybody was supportive, but
Okay.
um, you know, my mom was like, supported me the whole way, but before I made that leap was like, well, you like to travel and like there's things you like to do that are expensive. And like, how is that going to work out when you don't have income coming in?
Right.
Great point, by the way.
Right. Right.
um, I definitely had a few family friends. Like I'm lucky enough that I feel like I'm part of a tribe where I have a lot of friends who's, I'm close with their parents. And, a lot of them kind of gave me like, you millennials, like you got a good job. Like, what are you doing? And
Right.
and they supported, but at the same time, they had to let their voice be heard. That like they thought I was losing a screw loose or two. Those unhealthy expectations actually kind of helped a little bit, just
Mhm.
because I didn't realize I was headed towards poverty.
Oh, though, yeah, it's funny when we look back on it now, because again, I'll be hell even now. Not my mom or my dad or like people like that, or immediate family, but I have aunts and uncles that still like, hey, how's that business going? You good? You good? Like, we're okay. We're all right. You know what I mean? So they're just like relieved, like, oh, thank God. It's like, we've been at it for a while now, so hopefully, we're
Hey,
getting
look,
some
until
momentum.
I start asking you for money, don't worry about it. That's my
Facts,
rule.
facts. You know what I mean? Facts. So, nah, man, that's dope to hear. So, I mean, let's just kind of back it up, because I mean, corporate law to like, the skincare products and dermatology and all that kind of stuff. Like, how and why? Where does that where did that passion come from?
Yeah, it's not quite as random as it sounds. So my dad
Yeah.
is a dermatologist. My older brother is a dermatologist, and
Shout out
I
to
grew up
Pops.
in my
Yep.
dad's skincare practice, and that's actually where
Okay.
the name comes from. When I
Hmm.
was a kid, his skincare practice was on Holly Hall Street.
Yep.
So it was, when I was trying to think of a way to, name it, it made sense to kind of start where it all kind of began.
Dope.
And I've always wanted to run my own business. I laugh now. I have a daughter who's a year and a half now, so it definitely makes me, kind of contemplate and be much more nostalgic about my childhood. And I don't remember, maybe, I don't know, let's call it first, second grade. I got in trouble because I was selling my lunch to the kids that had money to buy the lunch but didn't want the school food.
Yeah.
And so it's like I've always been entrepreneurially minded. I used to burn CDs in middle school, DVDs in high school. Hopefully, all the statutes of limitations have ran, so I'm not snitching.
I was going to say that statement was made by Justin Moore. It has nothing to do with James Allen or the Mastermind Podcast. Hey, you ain't gonna get me on no Rico now.
Hey, I didn't tell you what I burned, so I left that vague enough.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, so I always knew that I wanted to start my own business, but as I graduated from college, I had no idea what I wanted that to be. And law school was really just more of I'm not really sure what to do next. I know that I can create a stable career for myself that I'll always be able to eat.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's what really gives me the confidence to kind of go at or go at and work through the little times of poverty that are inevitably going to come up when you're running your own shop.
Right.
So that, like, at the end of the day, I know I can eat. And it may have to go slide back to ramen noodle college days, but we're gonna eat at the end of the day.
For sure, man. And salute to that. Yeah. I mean, just being able to, take that leap is major shout out and salute to that. Cause a lot of people don't. I mean, I've had friends who have talked about projects and stuff for years and never really took that leap. But what I'm always noticing, man, too, is like, so shout out to the people who take the leap, but it's like you're saying, everyone's going to hit those roadblocks and hit those tough times and like times of poverty, like you're saying, but it's super dope. And it's weird because that 3 to 5 year mark is where I see people just really kind of take off in their business. But the people who are actually able to persevere and get through the shit, to get to the success is always dope. So I love hearing those stories because it's like, yo,
if I wasn't so hard headed, I should have. If a reasonable person would have quit a long time ago, I'm gonna be real with you.
man. But and another thing is like, all right, so we went through this, we're still going through it, so to speak, but this thing, called a pandemic, that started in the US in 2020. How did that impact your business, or did it impact your business at all?
It definitely did. So indirectly. So when the pandemic first happened, crazy times. Like, I got married like 2 weeks before the pandemic started.
Oh, good thing it was before though, bro. Yeah.
Oh, I had the funnest wedding of the year because I had pretty much the only wedding of the year. And initially it actually boosted sales. I think we had a lot of people who were at home and had to look at themselves in the mirror a lot more than what they normally do. Right. So we're becoming a lot more conscious about their skin and taking care of themselves. I think self-care became a really big theme in the pandemic. Hopefully that's not a trend, and it's something that people will continue with because it is important.
For sure.
But what really affected me was one, supply chain issues, just generally speaking, of not being the things that I'm used to ordering and get here in a day or two. My suppliers are just straight up saying like, we just don't have it. Not even like, it's going to be a little while. It's like, we got nothing for you. So definitely had to get, creative on that end. And it did end up forcing some packaging changes, but it's really just it was really just kind of roll with the punches. And I've kind of developed a mantra, and I may end up having to sit on a nice comfy red couch and talk to a therapist about it one day, but my mantra is like, it's always some shit. Like, I don't know what the shit's gonna be, but it's gonna be some shit.
Facts.
Like that helped me with that aspect of it, of this is the shit now.
Right. And I've definitely noticed the I guess how the packaging has evolved, like from the slender white tubes to like the smaller packages. And that was always something I was like, I wonder if that is the impact of what's going on, because every single like product-based business I hear about that from logistics from the pandemic, and people just really had to get to it and figure it out, and that just kind of like, and that's part of
Yeah.
the business, and that makes us all stronger. And you know what I think though, I'm always like, you know, at the time it sucks when you're going through the shit, but when you get through it, it makes you so much more appreciative, because like for me in my business, I'm like, all right, I'm, sometimes get upset with some deals that are like, property values are like, 200,000, 300,000. But it's like, all right, it's preparing me to like when I'm getting to these large apartment type things that are 1.2 million, 2 million. So I think it prepares you, because you're not, if you don't take those lumps, you're not going to be able to really take that to scale and take your business where you want to go.
Oh, I
So
got some lumps for you if you want to talk about it.
let's talk about it. Let's go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember the exact day because it would be too traumatic to like even try to remember it. But you know, went I took some time off and went play golf with a buddy who was off work that day.
Yeah.
And having a actually shooting pretty well, which ain't all that common for me.
Oh, you're right.
I get a phone call, the manufacturer burned to the ground. Yeah. Rubble, nothing left. Like burned to
Come
the ground.
on.
And my only supplier. So, they took me probably the better part of, I don't know, let's call it 12 to 15 months to get stable supply of, from there. And lesson learned, once again, it comes from lumps of supplier diversity. And so now we have, suppliers in Houston and Dallas.
Yeah.
So when I'm about to say, the way weather's going right now, I won't be too bragged or boastful about it, but hopefully we can get cost living again.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, yeah, that's a lesson learned right there. Now you split the manufacturing between two locations to not
Right.
put all your eggs in one basket. So those are just kind of things like, if you didn't know that. So, saying if the production or, demand as it scales, now you may need to bring on at a certain point tier, you're going to be like, all right, we'll bring on a third or something like that or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't.
and
really
that's where
know.
my
So,
mindset is now. And
yep.
the silver lining is that it happened at a point where I was small enough to where I could get by and not really piss anybody important off.
Right. Right.
If I was unable to meet some of the purchase orders that I have now, I'd be having some much, more difficult conversations. It impeded growth during that process, which of course sucks. But like you said, at the end of the day, was able to move forward from it. And I actually like our packaging now better, which is also kind of funny. Of like, I nothing in me would have that's not something that I think about on a day-to-day basis of improving packaging or changing packaging.
Yeah.
But silver linings are everywhere if you look hard enough for them.
Yes, sir. Hey, sometimes you have to look for it, you're gonna start crying. So you better be out there looking for them. So hearing you scale over the last almost 5 years, can you talk about your team a little bit, and what does, I suppose, when you first started to what your team looks like now, and kind of some of the thought processes in that scaling of your team?
Yeah. So when I first started, it was a team of one. It was me, everything imaginable, which is, I don't want to call it a mistake, because I learned a lot from it. And I think when you do it that way, it does teach you the value of, having other people that contribute. So from that perspective, once again, a silver lining, but, I was very hamstrung in the beginning because I was trying to do everything myself.
Yeah.
Kind of the natural, I guess evolution. I never had to get very intentional about, ramping up staffing.
Mm-hmm.
The company's been bootstrapped by me almost entirely, other than that Kickstarter campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always cautious about bringing anyone on and adding to the team, just because I don't want to be in a position to have to let someone go simply because, I can't afford to pay them.
Right. No, that's real. That's real.
Yeah. So the first edition, I had an summer intern. It was a family friend, real motivated guy. After that summer, he went back to college, and then it was kind of back to team of one. Then once my mom retired, she came on and helped in that fulfillment role, which has been I don't really know where I would be without her, to be honest. Definitely a lot broker having to pay someone to do it because I couldn't handle it myself. It was just too much. And then from there, I got a virtual assistant,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it started to change the way I even looked at work, of like starting to prioritize, okay, well, is this something that I would find myself all the time, and I still do sometimes, of like, is this something I'm supposed to be doing? Because it doesn't really feel like it is. Like I don't feel like I'm bringing anything special to this task. It's just a task that has to get done.
Right.
Shout out to my virtual assistant, Sheena, who's out in Dallas.
Hey, shout out
Um,
Sheena.
yeah, then I've also brought on someone to help with kind of marketing, social media, that sort of stuff. Shout out to Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's the team. Me, my mom, Sheena, and Alyssa. So there's four of us right now.
Dope. And let's talk about a little bit of well, first let's talk about the product mix. Um, and before we even get to that, so when you're a team of one, from day one, did you just find a manufacturer and they would, you give them, I guess, the ingredients or something? How did that even go, like to create the products, like from the oil to the wash? I mean, is it something that your dad and your brother helped you create, and then you
That's
give
it
it
right there.
and you give them okay.
Yeah, so it was the product development process is a little bit of a, you have on one side, you have, my dad who's a dermatologist and a pharmacist
Hmm.
who's kind of, I'm coming to him and I'm telling him what I'm looking to create. And then, he takes that and then he, goes back and forth with the chemist at the manufacturer of,
Hmm.
hey, look, this is what we're trying to do. The chemist will make recommendations. And I'm just the layperson who's kind of speaking on behalf of the potential customer of that, like,
Hmm.
well, I know that, that might be the best, but what's most important to me is that the person has a good experience and they get a good
Hmm.
result. So it's just finding that balance between, science and the user experience. And that process, depending on the product, can take anywhere from about 3 to 6 months.
Okay. Okay. No, because I was definitely just curious about how that went about, especially when you're saying how lean you guys sound. But
Mhm.
I mean, like, yo, Holly Hall is everywhere. Yo, you can go to the website, hollyhallsupply.com, or me, I'm lazy. And this is another question I want to ask, because I just get, essentially, if I can get it from Amazon, I'm gonna do so.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, these guys are out here on Amazon. But I wanted to know, are your margins impacted at all from ordering directly from the website as opposed to getting it from Amazon?
It is, but not enough for me to have any sort of. I'm agnostic in terms of where people buy the product from. So,
Okay.
our three biggest platforms are, our own website, hollyhallsupply.com. Our product listings on Amazon, and
Mm-hmm.
also through we're on jcpenney.com,
Mm-hmm.
as well as in 10 JCPenney locations throughout the country, which will soon be a lot more. That's
Ooh,
what's keeping me busy these days.
talk that
But
talk.
yeah, I'm agnostic. I really don't care where people, where they buy from. Our independent retailers that hold us down throughout Houston, throughout Texas. It's wherever you find us is where I want you to support, because as far as all of those different channels is what make the business work. If I
For
didn't,
sure.
if you took any of them from us, it would hurt.
And let's talk about the product placement on JCPenney. That's huge. And Amazon. How do you go about getting on there? It seems Amazon maybe seems like it's a little bit more of just a routine, but to actually have your stuff in JCPenney seems like it's a little bit more of more, maybe more of a win. I don't know, because I'm not from that world, so I don't want to say one win is bigger than the other. But you let me know.
Yeah, so Amazon is, fairly direct. So long as you
Hmm.
fit into their categories and you don't have anything that's disqualifying, then
Hmm.
it's just a process. It's not necessarily a
Hmm.
quick process, but it's a process nonetheless.
Hmm.
The JC Penney is, and really just big box retail in general. It's certainly not anywhere near straightforward or within your control. It's more so
Hmm.
about, having an opportunity to connect with one of their buyers
Dope.
and, developing that relationship and, you know, hopefully they see potential in you, and hopefully, they're willing to, take a little bit of a risk by taking on a little bit of a more unknown commodity.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, our friends over at JCPenney were willing to go to bat for us, and it's been going great so far.
Dope, man. So yeah, you other competitors, man, stop playing with them. We out here. We got product placement,
Hey.
No, man, but definitely salute to that. And what about the product mix? I mean, because now you guys have since I've started using you guys have expanded and
Yeah.
added like one or two more things, I believe. But yeah, I mean, what are the current products? You want to talk about those at all? What you guys got?
Yeah, definitely. So what we
Mhm.
started with was our first three, what we call the essential skincare kit. And the
Yep.
idea behind that is if you do nothing else, like use these three things, and you're gonna drastically change and improve, the quality of your skin. So that's our
Mhm.
face wash, revitalizing daily face wash, our hydrating shave gel, and our daily repair moisturizer. And
Mhm.
the fourth was the organic beard oil.
Mhm.
One of the huge things, I learned in that initial, is, oh, I don't shave. And while you can still shave with a beard, your beards are in and have been in for a while. So that was really in response to people saying, well, I don't shave, but what can you do for my beard? And I was like,
Mhm.
let me go talk to my dad. I'm gonna be right back. We're gonna
Yeah.
get you covered.
Yep.
And that's actually been one of our best selling products.
I stay with it on me. I stay with it on
Yeah,
me. Yeah.
we got some recognition from Men's Health on that product, which
Dope.
has helped a lot to get the word out about it.
Dope. And then the ingrown hair spot treatment as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
Remuva was ingrown hair spot treatment. Anyone, especially people of color, are a lot more prone to it, but it happens all across the color spectrum of ingrown
Hmm.
hairs. They hurt. They look terrible. Shaving with them is very painful. I got some of the scars to prove it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Um, and that was something that I that was a little bit more condition specific,
Hmm.
just because I felt like there weren't a lot of effective things out on the market that were addressing it. So it was really just that one was much more of a passion project than it was hey, this is gonna boom off of the shelf. But that being said, it's done really well, so
Hey.
that's been a little bit of gravy on top. And then we also have our DIY face scrub.
Yeah. What's
So
that? I saw that.
yeah, so a lot of people don't understand the difference between like a face wash or a cleanser versus a scrub.
Yeah.
So a face wash is a wash that's kind of catered to the skin on your face, which is
Hmm.
different in terms of its oil production and thickness than the rest of your body. So it has some special concerns that need to be addressed.
Hmm.
A scrub is typically going to have some type of physical exfoliant in it.
Hmm.
So whether that's like some companies use like microbeads or like these small little bits of plastic, or granules that are naturally occurring, something that actually creates physical exfoliation to get rid of dead skin, which helps with skin cell turnover, which is going to help give you that healthy glow.
Hmm.
It's recommended to physically exfoliate about 2 but no more than 3 times a week.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, and the way that we saw it was that rather than having a product that's specifically catered to scrub, simply because it needs to be different from you can't use it daily like your wash. Um, I didn't see why you couldn't just add those exfoliants into your wash and create a scrub. So there's where the name comes from. It's DIY. You can make your
Yo,
own.
that's dope. Okay.
Uh,
No, I didn't even know. Yeah, yeah. And I was talking to my mom earlier. Shout out moms. And I was
hey,
like,
mom.
yo, yeah, yeah. I was like, yo, I'm talking to Justin from Holly Hall today. And she was like, and I was explaining to the products, and her question was, is it only for men? And I don't know if you get that a lot, but some people out there
Yeah,
listening to that, as you and I talking, I'm talking about beers and stuff like that. But
sure.
your products, are they only for men?
No, definitely not. Our
Okay.
products are, well, the beard oil is it's certainly meant, male centric. But if a woman wants to rock a beard, who am I to tell her? Who am I to get in
Hey,
the
hey,
way?
Your body, your choice. Hey, I
Hey,
mean,
I
yeah,
feel the same way. But no, our products are definitely for women and men. And one thing that's very important is from the development perspective, is to have women, providing input at every stage. So that's packaging, that's ingredients, that's the scent. That's really where I go to for the a little bit more discernment in the review, process and product development. Yeah, I love my boys, but it's more of like a 0-1. I like it, I don't like it. Whereas, when I'm messing with
absolutely.
my homegirls, it's like it's much more of, well, have you thought about this? Well, what if you added more of this? Like, oh, okay, I didn't think of that. So no, it's definitely, I like to say our products for anybody who has skin.
For sure, for sure. Okay, okay. Um, nah, man. Like I said, I really just enjoy all of the products that you guys provide. Like I said, I've been using these things for years as well. So, um, yeah, I don't know. He may be looking at me like, I don't know about that skin, James. Don't say use my products, but I mean,
Oh no, you
yeah.
load up. No, I approve this message.
Hey, okay, yeah, let's go. But nah, it really is dope to really just hear again from when Megan came back. She was still in New York, and she was like, talking about her friend, and then me just like, okay, well, I'll try the products out. To like now being here, talking to you and hearing about how you guys are expanding is dope, man. Salute to you, brother. Salute to you
I
and your team.
appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we talk business and all of that, but I mean, other than that, like, how is Justin, man? Is Justin good? He all right? He's got 2 years in the game on the marriage, got a 1.5 year old. I mean, you moving out here, man. How is everything?
No, life is good. It's
Yeah.
I definitely find myself struggling to keep up. One of the downsides of entrepreneurship, or at least for me, or I've always kind of had the opinion you was who you was before you got here. So I'm sure
Hey.
I brought this baggage into it. But just the anxiety of running a company and not knowing where things are going, or hoping things are gonna flow the right way, even if they're out of your control sometimes. So I'd be lying if I said that didn't keep me up at night sometimes.
Yeah, it's
People love to talk about the glamorous side, but
it is difficult, man. Sometimes you're trying to lay down and just go to sleep in that, and you'll just think about something, and your brain will just start turning, and it's difficult. But again, I do think all of these different challenges are preparing us and strengthening us and making us stronger as business owners. Because again, like me, I used to work in corporate finance, and everything was very, much black and white. There was not a lot of room for errors, and like, let me go sit down. I mean, working in corporate law with in capital markets and such, like, let you sit down into this major meeting with two companies, and you guys are talking about an M&A deal, and the numbers are all off, and there's mistakes everywhere, and it's just like, all right, well, like, why am I here? And so, but a lot more so in real estate, there is it's a lot more relaxed, fluid. Yeah, it's like, things may happen and may not. When you schedule something, it's just like, so I've definitely had to uh accommodate myself for that, but even more so, just with the stressors from day to day, I think I've, become a little bit more callous, so to speak, and thicker skin, to where it's not like, when shit happens, like you're saying, shit is always going to happen. So when shit happens, it's
Yep.
not like, my life is ruined, the whole thing's going to fail, I don't know what I'm going to do. But it's just like, all right, well, all right, shit happens, let's get to it.
Yeah.
How are we going to fix it?
I definitely
So
don't internalize as much as I used to, and I
yeah,
feel like
man.
going through, and I imagine other forms of corporate outside of law aren't that much different. Is it like
Hmm.
you're told that you need to be perfect, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm catching other people's mistakes all the damn time. So like, well, how come everybody else isn't perfect here? Why is that expectation being put on me?
Right.
And then sometimes I feel like it was enforced on me a lot more than other people. Of like, you know, I won't go too far down that rabbit hole, but
Hey, I don't. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's I think the other kind of the downside to law, and I think a lot of lawyers will probably share this, is that being a slave to a billable hour is not a great way to live. And I'm still deconditioning myself from that,
Hmm.
of thinking of everything of like, if I spend time doing this, well, like, man, I could have built an hour during that time. So that cost me X amount of dollars. And like, no, it didn't. Like, that's not true. Like, I mean, like, when you have to build 2,000 hours a year, it's helpful to think like that, because, if you don't approach it in a very, methodical way, you get behind the eight ball, and, there can be some pretty extreme consequences for that.
Absolutely.
But and one of the things I try to think, or remind myself of, is just because something else served you, at a previous time, doesn't mean that it still serves you. So, I'm certainly a lot more in, like, I've hopped off that linear path. Like, you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college, you go to grad school, maybe you go out and you get a career, and then you get a promotion, and then you go work for a better company. And it's like, nah, like, I'm in the Wild West. Like, I don't know where this train is headed. I'm gonna try to steer it in a good direction, but it's some of those same, productivity oriented, hacks, or even, things that may even plague you, but they still have some sort of function. I don't need that anymore. It's kind of, what the best example of it is, like, trying to get rid of, like, my white people voice. Like, of trying to, like, reverse, like, what is it, code
switching,
like, stop code switching. Like, code switching, I gotta be real, code switching did serve me at a time, but
absolutely
it doesn't serve me anymore. But I'll still find myself doing it sometimes. I'm like, well, why?
Man, talk about it.
There needs to be, like, if Holly Hall don't work out, I'm gonna start, like, a boot camp to, like, decondition when you come out of corporate America. Like, if you use a buzzword, it's like, right. Electric, get shocked. Let's circle up, me.
Yo, I can definitely identify with that. It's just, especially, but me and my background and where I grew up, like, because I talk, me and my wife would talk about that in certain, I guess, networking groups or whatever. I code switch without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Without even knowing it, sometimes I'll just do it and I'll be like, but it's just depending on the person I'm trying to talk to and how I'm trying to relate to them. It's not like I'm sitting there trying to be someone I'm not. It's just me trying to, making a connection with somebody. But still,
don't get me wrong. If you can get a benefit from it, by all means, use every tool at your disposal. But if there's no benefit to be had, then why am I doing it?
Man, great point, bro. Man, that's a good point. And I'm really curious because, Justin, you, man, are a very well accomplished as far as, school wise and within your professional endeavors. But like, you have a child, right? 1.5-year-old. Is it just one? The first one?
Yeah, my baby girl. Right.
Okay. Shout out to the baby girl. Okay, so when she turns 18, she's like, Dad, hey, I don't want to go to school. I want to come work for Holly Hall. I want to work for the family business. What are your thoughts? Like, do you still feel in this day and age that education is important?
Yeah. So to answer your first question of what would I say to that, I was like, you out your rabbit ass mind, you're going to college. Now, after college, if she wants to have that conversation with me, we can have it. And I, don't hold me to this, 20 years from now. But preferably, I would like her to go out and see what the world, looks like. Not when your dad owns the company. I think that's something that I benefit from a lot. I worked in my dad's company. I knew what that looked like, and it does look a lot different, when it's family.
True.
And I'd like for her to get that outside experience, but more directly back to your question in terms of college. One, it's fun. Like, I've made some of the great, like, closest relationships from college that I still have to this day. It's like it became if the friends I grew up with were my second family, then the friends that I met in college were my third.
Yeah.
And that's something that I certainly wouldn't trade. And I think there's a lot of, it's a managed way to kind of grow up, and you're starting to have more responsibilities for yourself, but it's not the real world, right? Like it falls short of that, but I do.
I call it the halfway house. Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it halfway
really
house.
What it is.
Yeah,
It
I'm telling you. Yeah. But yo, I mean, with tuitions skyrocketing the way they are, all those things you're talking about, the experiences, the responsibilities, do you think it's necessary for a young person to go to school to get that?
As far as the cost, I'll address that first. I'm already working on her soccer scholarship. I'm not trying to pay it. It's gonna be like 500 grand a year by the time she's 18.
I'm telling you, yeah.
I'm trying to be proactive about that part and see if I can get around paying for it myself.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that college is necessary, like required. I don't think that it's required. And I know plenty of people that didn't touch a college campus or didn't stick around for very long that run very successful businesses and make a lot more money than their counterparts. But
Sure.
I think even they will tell you, and some of them express to me that like, there are still, hurdles and, problems that they face because they don't have that, what society has kind of deemed as like a prereq.
Really? Okay.
So the way I look at it is if that's not, if you don't have the opportunity, then that's a much different question, than somebody who has the means, has the opportunity, and just decides they don't want to.
That's a great point, bro.
That says that, I want to get to it right now. Well, like nothing is stopping you from running a business while you're in college. Like the demands are not like I said, it's a halfway house. You just got to come back at night. You can have your morning classes and pursue your hustle. I played football. Like that took, I don't know, let's call it 40 hours a week of my time.
Mm-hmm.
If business was my passion, I could have been actively working on a business while I'm taking business classes. That seems like not a bad way to approach it.
Yeah.
And if it's a situation where, it's, finances are limiting it, and, financial aid is, not, just putting hundreds of thousands of loans in front of you without any, guarantee that you're going to be able to pay it back.
Sure.
And it's just not something you want to. I would still say everybody should at least go and get a basic especially in business. If you want to, be an entrepreneur, you should go and at least, enroll in a community college and take some basic business courses. I went to, my mom, before she retired, worked at HCC, Houston Community College. And before I started my freshman year, I took 2 entry-level business courses at HCC. And like, I still remember that microeconomics class to this day, that professor, like it was a great class, bar none. Like, and, one of the things that stuck with me the most is that, she was saying, whenever you want to think about, economics, put it in terms of illegal drugs, because it's the only true, free market that we have. So like think about like, and that can be like, that's a skill that I don't know how many years ago, I don't even want to count back how far ago it was when I took that class.
Yeah.
But like, that's something that still sticks with me to this day. And like, I can still utilize. And, there's, colleges are getting of course out of control on expense, but, there are still a lot of great value in community colleges. And I think that if you start at a community college, it gives you a much better perspective as to whether this is for you or not. And I can appreciate somebody that tries and like, this is just not for me. I get that 100%.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean, salute to you. I mean, I studied business in undergrad, and I can't tell you, I think I had a little bit too much fun in undergrad, because I can't tell you anything I remember. So it took me going to grad school to really kind of sharpen that business acumen. But no, that's a great point. I mean, you've made a lot of good points, because having these conversations with different entrepreneurs, I like to ask them that question. I've really just been on the spectrum, like I'm the side of lately of school is not really worth it. There's other ways. But you're right. There are just certain things that you're going to get in some of those classes that you can't, that you're not going to be able to be like taught and learn in a structured manner like that. Even it was in a job setting on the fly, for one, you're probably not going to get the exposure you need unless you're working for some type of startup or you have just somebody hooking you up with that exposure. But I think, yeah, I do agree. Some of those business classes, like you're saying, economics, accounting, some basic
Yeah, if you run your own
marketing
business and
things.
you don't know what debits and credits are, like you're gonna go through the ring, and people are probably gonna steal from you.
Ooh, talk about it. Talk about it. So, but yeah, man, I was also too wondering. I mean, what's your take on? Um, and let me ask you this way: do you believe there is a such thing as work-life balance as an entrepreneur?
Um, I
Yeah, think about
mean,
it.
the answer to me is no.
Okay.
Um, but well, there is a balance, but it's like, well, it certainly isn't 50-50, and it certainly isn't.
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna work my hours, and then whatever needs to get pushed to tomorrow, it'll be there.
Right.
It doesn't work like that for me.
Right.
So I do think that where I find the balance is like knowing when I'm getting a little, too worn out and trying to take, plan a day, or even if I don't, take a trip or go anywhere, of just complete mindless day. Like
Yep.
play Call of Duty for like 4 hours and watch and watch, catch up and binge shows. Like something that is
Yes.
like just let me separate from myself. And sometimes I'll
We
and I've
call it
gotten better at
unplugging.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've gotten better at when this used to cause like I would have like a lot of guilt about it, of it, like when I have a day and there's not something that's particularly, has to be done today, and I'm just not feeling it. Like it's just every time I get to going, I stop, and I just can't, you know really deliver a college effort. It's sometimes I'll just say, well, you know what, we're just gonna call this day a wash, and we're gonna see what we bring to the table tomorrow.
Yep.
And sometimes that means on Friday of like, yeah, I just don't have nothing left for the week, and
Yeah.
now that means now I got to work Saturday. But at the same time, it's working when you don't feel like working is pretty hard to do.
Yes.
But it's even more so when like the work is never gonna end.
Right. Right. No, no, it's definitely being able to, as you mature in your entrepreneurial journey, being able to kind of step away and give yourself grace at sometimes is huge.
Definitely.
Because burnout is for real. And I like the way you put that earlier. Is like balance doesn't necessarily mean every day, 9 to 5, and or I like to say, like, putting it into like, okay, I'm gonna give 25% of this to my business, 25% of this to my family, 25% of it. I really look at work-life balance now as more as a juggling act.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like, I'm in real estate, so there's a lot of seasonality with real estate.
Sure.
So right now it's hot. So summer and fall are um I'm sorry, summer and spring are my busiest times. And so while that strike while the iron's hot,
Yep.
we work longer days, we go hard at it.
Right. Right.
But I mean, fall and winter are the times where we can take a little bit more vacations and spend time, in the holidays, and kind of slow down and do all those things. But it's not as like every day. I'm like, okay, I've got to give 25% of that to the family, or to the business. It's just, it is what it is. So it's constantly juggling and understanding that you can't go to the extreme in on any different path forever. So that's
Yeah.
what.
One thing that's
Yeah.
also helped for me is to try to think
Mm.
about, because you know I think if you fall back into that, oh, I'm going to do X percentage to this and Y percentage to that, I think you're getting into that kind of that billable hours trap that I was talking about.
Yeah, good point.
And the way that I've tried to look at, family time is not as like, I think a lot of people, well, at least I feel like there's an urge to quantify the family time as almost like that's another job that you have to do. And like, I
Yeah.
think it's a terrible, like, I understand how you get there, but it's a terrible way
Mhm.
to look at it. Of
True.
that, the way I prefer to look at it is like, getting my daughter ready for daycare in the morning. Like that's time we get to spend together.
Man.
feeding her dinner and, bath time, getting ready for bed. Like that's time we get to spend together. So like, don't think of it as, I was productive. This is productive. Because I feel like that kind of, I don't know, we're not machines. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we
Right.
can't be thinking about everything we do as like, oh, a check mark. Like, oh, I did this for the day. I did that for the day. And it's like, and look, and I am like the most type A. I have so many checklists of like to-do lists. I got checklists, for damn near everything.
Yeah.
But what I try to look at family time as more of as an escape from that. Like,
Absolutely.
let me put that shit down and go have a little fun.
For sure. For sure. But you know what I'm also interested in, because I really do think that success leaves clues, and I'm really interested just to hear about entrepreneurs and high performers, really how they go about their day and their morning routines. I am a firm believer that you can win a lot of your day just by your morning routine and how you approach that. And I've really started recommitting myself to that here recently.
Mhm.
So I'm just kind of interested, like, wake up in the morning. What time are you waking up? What are you doing in the morning? What are the first things? And it is different now. I mean, especially with with a 1 year old and a new family. Just so what is that? What does a typical morning look like for Justin?
It really changes. I go through seasons. So like
Okay.
I'll go through seasons where it's like I'm waking up at, 6:37, stretching, reading a book, starting to get some work done before my daughter wakes up. And then like I'll go seasons where it's just like I just can't like what time do I need to wake up so I can get her to daycare on time?
Exactly.
So I'd be lying if I said it's consistent, and week to week it changes. And a lot, I'm starting to learn a lot of it. It's just kind of like where my anxiety is in the week, kind of where's
Mm,
my mood, and also was I working nights, because that's always the flip side of like I've also learned that like if I work till 2 in the morning, like trying to force myself to wake up at 7 and stretch and read and get ready for my day, like I'm just gonna drag ass all day. Like so that
exactly.
doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Exactly.
So it really fluctuates. I try to get at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep every day. I
Hmm.
found that's kind of the sweet spot for me.
Hmm.
So like I said, it really just depends on what the night before, was looking like.
Right.
Dictates what the day looks like.
Right.
I try to take it day by day, and I think you're right. When I get into those, those swings where I'm getting up early, I'm doing a little, things for myself before I even, start getting to the business. I do find myself generally happier,
Hmm.
but I just won't pretend that like I have my life that much under control.
Right. Yeah, come on. And you have a little one. I mean, I've just started to do that again as my kids get a little older. I definitely used to kind of burn the midnight oil, just like you, work late when everyone's asleep and you've had little ones, and when you have little ones like that, it's probably like the only time you can really as when they sleep is when you can get stuff done or work. So I definitely understand that. So like I said, I've been there, and I wish I could, if I got up consistently for the last 3 years and worked out, I probably look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But you know what I'm saying? It's just
I
I'm
just
just
got
kind of
back in
getting.
the gym.
I just got back in the gym, bro.
Just
But
got back.
but
Yeah. Shout
it's
out
like
to
you're
the
saying.
lab. I got two friends that opened up a gym.
Okay, yeah, where at?
It's off of 610 and Long Wayside,
Okay,
over
yeah.
right outside of Third Ward.
Okay, dope, dope, dope. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I just noticed that my day goes a lot better. I have a lot more clarity, deal with things a lot better when I'm getting up in the morning, taking the time working out for myself, working out. I like to wake up. First thing I do is have a, mindset of gratitude. I just start, thanking the Lord and praying about just random stuff. And,
Definitely.
you know, it, yeah. And it just seems things seem to click. So if I could stay in this in that mode forever, great. But like you said, things happen, and
Yeah,
it's
and the
just
thing is, you can always. I find my way back to it eventually. Maybe it
absolutely.
takes me a little longer than I should, but I always find my way back.
Yeah, you're an athlete too, bro. So it's in you. It's never gonna leave you. I mean, not just like you're saying, just the physical part, but the mental toughness aspect of it as well. So no, shout out to that. Shout out to that. Yeah, man. I really do appreciate the time, bro. I'm trying to think about other things I wanted to ask you about. So I guess there's only two other things. You did say earlier, if your daughter wants to come work, yeah, take care of your business and then come work for the family business. Or how do you feel about nepotism? And I know it typically has a negative connotation to it, but how do you feel about
As it
nepotism?
should. You know,
Should it?
it's yeah, it should.
Okay.
Because we all know it's unfair, right? And
Okay.
but we all also know that it ain't much of shit fair in this world.
Hello.
But that's not what we're told, right? We're
Right.
told it's about, and I can respect nepotism when it's honest. But
Right.
like, this person's here because they're getting it because they're my kid. Like that's it. But I think far too often we still like we treat we turn a blind eye to nepotism and act like it's merit based.
Right.
And what I think that nepotism can be managed in the right way. Everybody wants better for their kids than they had for themselves. I think that's probably a universal truth. But that being said, I really think it just depends on the situation. If I had a child if I was in a situation where my company had a lot of employees that depend on this company succeeding to get a check, and I didn't feel like my kid was ready or interested enough or experienced enough to take over that company, I don't think that I feel comfortable doing it.
Well, let me ask you this, because I mean, you're as a previous lawyer, you're a lot better with words and definitions. But can it still be nepotism if the merit is warranted? If maybe they got the look because of the last name, but they have every single accomplishments, have every single right to be there. Is it still considered nepotism?
Definitely.
And
it
so
doesn't feel as bad. Like it doesn't feel as dirty. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if somebody goes out there and proves themselves in the world and then comes back, then they have the respect of, or at least a better chance of getting the respect of their peers because they've put in the work. I think far too often, and I think it's nepotism either way.
Right.
But there's degrees of everything, right?
Sure.
But if you've gone through what people expect you to be able to be in that position, I think it doesn't rub people the wrong way as much.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that's also one of the benefits of starting your own thing. Who cares if it rubs somebody else wrong?
Hello. I mean, and yeah, I don't see any problem with it. I actually worked for a company where that was the case, and I mean, there was maybe some rumblings here and there about it, but I mean, people are going to talk shit regardless. Whatever your last name, they're going to find shit to talk.
But it also matters about that person and how they treat the situation. So
absolutely,
I worked for my dad before, which is nepotism, and I try to be very mindful of one. I acknowledge that's why. It's not like I'm actually having that conversation. This is just about talking to myself. Like I know why I'm in the position that I'm in. My last name is is on the door. But being very mindful of not trying to lord that over anyone. Of essentially just trying to be a contributor like everybody else in the building.
Absolutely.
And I never had any problems with it because I feel like people always thought I was carrying my own weight, or at least that's the way I perceived it. Maybe they just didn't want to get fired, so they didn't tell me.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't seem to have too much of a problem with it, because if you're an asshole, if you're entitled, you're good. That's who you are. But I mean, if you're coming in and contributing and you're taking care of business, I mean, I don't care what your last name is.
But too much nepotism can certainly breed some assholes.
Yes, and it can be toxic. Absolutely. So yeah, it definitely has to be handled and managed with caution. Absolutely. So, man, Justin, I appreciate it, bro. We're coming up on an hour mark. I don't want to take too much of your time. Whether this is a day where you happen to get to it or you're trying to unplug. I know everyone's time is valuable, so I don't want to take too much of it, man. This has been awesome. So just a few more questions, man. If someone's wanting to reach out to you, get a hold of you, talk business or whatever, how can they reach out to you and get a hold of you?
Probably easiest way is hit me up on Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram is JMO713. And I love talking shop. I love talking business. So if anybody wants to kind of talk about where they are, we can trade war stories, all of that fun stuff.
Nah, man, for sure. And then I like to ask, everyone this question on the way out. Just one more thing is, when it's all said and done, what does Justin Moore want to be remembered for?
I've thought a lot about that question over time, and I feel like as I'm getting older, I care less and less.
Really? I would think it'd go the other way, but okay.
I think that is a little backwards, because I think that's something as people start to get older, they think about more and more in terms of legacy.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to kind of see a theme of unrealistic expectations throughout my life. So when I was 20, fresh out of college, 22, fresh out of college, I just knew I'd be a multimillionaire by 30, and I'd have XYZ named after me by 40, and I'd be lauded as a businessman by 50. And I think as I get older, it's more of that's not really why I'm doing this. I don't know if you've watched Paid in Full, but well, I didn't want to have to judge you on your own podcast if you hadn't seen it, so I was trying to be nice. But Mitch is saying I love the game, I love the hustle, and I feel that way. This is what I want. This is why I found out this is why I'm doing it. I want the feeling of being in the game. I want to be the man in the arena. And I think at the same time I'm also a capitalist. In the way I feel is the results are going to show for themselves. Either I build something people are gonna laud me for, or I won't be thought of. But I feel so long as I take care of what's important, I take care of my family, I take care of I keep my relationships with my friends. At the end of the day, strangers knowing about me, what is that going to do for me?
Facts. Nah, man, well said, and good point. It makes me kind of maybe want to rethink some of that. So Justin, again, I definitely appreciate you. Oh, one last quick thing. Can you again run through where can people look up Holly Hall, the products?
Yeah.
Where can we find them, and where's the footprint? I mean, are you just in Houston, or are you national? Where's the footprint at?
Yeah, so you can go directly through our online store, hollyhallsupply.com. You can go through our Amazon store, obviously search on the Amazon platform, and at jcpenney.com, as well as we're in, like I said, 10 stores throughout the country with JCPenney. It's kind of spread out, but in the next few months, fingers crossed, we'll be in a lot more doors in JCPenney. We'll certainly be screaming that from the tallest mountain we can find.
Let's go.
But we also are at a lot of independent retailers, throughout Houston, throughout Texas. So shout out to them, because they're a small business. They're in the game just like we are, and we love them. So even as we grow our footprint with internationally known name like JCPenney, we still got a lot of love for the mom and pops that have been rocking with us since day one.
Yes, sir, man. Love to hear it. Well, yeah, Justin, man. We can't wait
one
to
time
hear.
before we I see some fraternity language down there. So one time for the first, the oldest, and
hey,
the oldest.
Cut that shit out. It's all love. But nah, man, I definitely appreciate it, bro. This is super dope. It's really good to meet you, because we've met once, don't really know much of you. Man, your story is dope. I love to see the business growing and hearing about it. I can't wait to see what's next, where you guys are headed, and see where the next 5 years are going to bring, bro. So, man, salute to you, my guy.
Hey, appreciate you having me, bro.
I appreciate it, man. So this has been another episode of Masterminds. You guys can check out episodes every Thursday on wherever you listen to podcasts. We have the audio and the visuals on YouTube. So we appreciate you guys. And until
Hit
next
that like
time,
button. Stop being stingy.
peace. Talk about it.